welcome to episode 117 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivets. So this week's episode of NXT was highlighted by Aleister Black versus Kassius Ohno in the main event, and we also got the return of Ember Moon, which kicked off the show as she took on Peyton Royce. Ember had the upper hand with a single leg dropkick and a springboard forearm from the corner. Royce went for a super fisherman suplex, but Moon shoved Royce and accidentally bumped into the ref. This allowed Billie Kay to get involved and Peyton Royce to get the upper hand. They then targeted her injured shoulder, throwing her into the post a couple times. After the commercial break, Ember Moon made her comeback, springboard crossbody. Royce countered an elbow and hit a spinning heel kick. Moon went for the eclipse, but Billie Kay pulled Royce out of the ring, and she received the diving splash on the outside. Moon then kicked out of the Widow's Peak. After tossing Royce into the corner, she then won with the eclipse. It was actually a really good match. There were a couple of small timing issues, but overall the match flowed well. The false finish from the Widow's Peak was nice. A lot of people, including myself, thought that the match was over there, considering that Ember had her focused on Billie Kay instead of Peyton Royce. But she kicked out, and let's just hope Ember Moon could stay healthy. August, I believe she'll be in NXT for a year. She really hasn't done much. The injuries have kind of halted her a little bit, but again, it's only 1 year, so there's still a bright future for her in NXT, and that feud with Asuka we're still waiting for. Hideo then approached Kassius Ohno and apologized for his actions. Ohno accepted, saying that he knows what he's going through, and they kind of shook hands and left. Sanity, Eric Young, and Alexander Wolf took on the Ely brothers. The Ely brothers had some sort of modified version of Billie Kay's theme song. It wasn't the greatest. And skipping Sanity's entrance is probably the best part of not watching NXT live. Just fast forward through that whole thing. Gabriel received a pump kick from Wolf, and then Sanity warmed down on their side of the ring. Things broke down a little bit later. Ely brothers went for some double team move, but Young got involved, hit a neckbreaker, and dumped one of them out. Sanity then hit a back suplex, jumping neckbreaker on the other one to get the win. I really don't care. Sanity loses the big matches, and they win the jobber matches like they're supposed to, similar to Andrade Cien Almas. I don't like the gimmick. Really don't care for Eric Young. I'm over this group. There's nothing behind them. They have no heat. I'm just waiting for Killian Dane and Nikki Cross to break out on their own. Speaking of Nikki Cross, we got a recap of the women's title match from last week and how it ended. It was then announced that there will be a last woman standing match between Asuka and Nikki Cross. Third match, Rachael Evers versus Sonya Deville. Rachael Ellering is back in NXT after appearing in TNA for a few weeks. Deville landed some kicks and some knee strikes. She had the MMA gloves on, but didn't use them at all, towards the end of the match at least. She landed some punches to the ribs. Deville locked in a double wrist lock and won. Slow match. Deville tried getting this MMA gimmick over, and we know what MMA looks like, so I really didn't buy into this gimmick. She didn't use her hands enough as far as striking. She did a lot of kicks, but the crowd really didn't bite into it either, and I'm really not feeling it. During a photo shoot earlier today, Roderick Strong was walking through, and Bobby Roode confronted him and his family. Roddy then attacked Bobby Roode. They had to be separated, and Roode issued a challenge to Roderick Strong anytime, anywhere for the title. They then announced that on the 400th episode of NXT, which is in 2 weeks, Roode will defend his title against Roderick Strong. All of that led into our main event, Kassius Ohno versus Aleister Black. There was a lot of slow pacing of this match early, neither man getting the upper hand, a lot of holds, a lot of wrist locks and mat wrestling. Ohno did dodge the Black Mass early, rolling out of the ring. Black came back with a striking combination. Ohno came off the ropes with a big elbow and led into the first commercial break. Ohno was still in control. He mocked Aleister Black's sitting pose in the middle of the ring. Black came back with a springboard moonsault and a nice kick to the head. And at this point, they were just trading kicks and big strikes back and forth, elbows. Ohno hit a cyclone boot out of the corner, long near fall there. He then hit an elbow, and Aleister Black came back with another pump kick. Ohno countered a suplex and hit the release suplex, and then went for the rolling elbow, but Black spotted it out, hit Black Mass, and got the win. It was a great match. The match built slow early, but it was leading towards something. After the break, they turned it up, striking with every elbow, every kick they could do, anything like that. They were just going back and forth. And the crowd was behind it too. You could hear the oohs and ahs every time they hit something. The crowd was definitely invested in seeing these two strikers go at it. Aleister Black did make sense winning, because the story is with Kassius Ohno and Hideo Itami, how they handle losing, and seeing how Kassius Ohno is going to handle this loss, considering what he told Hideo Itami is going to be the story. And I think it'll lead to a match between them two at TakeOver Brooklyn 3, which should be a good show. Overall, decent episode. We got the big main event. We saw Ember Moon return. We saw Alexander Wolf and Eric Young win another squash match. But overall, it did what it's supposed to do. They told some stories, and they got the job done. Next week, we have the last woman standing match, and in 2 weeks, we have the NXT title match, Bobby Roode and Roderick Strong. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the show. I'll be back next week with episode 118. Follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports. Like, subscribe to the show on YouTube. Check you back next week. Peace.